and subscribe, most important, so you can get the rest of the series. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. And if you see me looking both ways, I'm on Instagram as well. This is new for me. How are you? Thank you for joining me. If you're watching on the West Coast, good morning to you. If you're watching me on the East Coast and Central, good afternoon. I hope your this fall day is a little cold for the South. I'm in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, so it's a little cold, but um, thank you nonetheless for joining me. We'll get started in just a few. Make sure my Facebook audience can see me. If you're in the chat on Instagram, let me know where you're tuning in from. Amy. Thank you for joining. I know definitely where that is. Um, so this is the first of an 8-part series on burnout. If you've been with me in any capacity, you know I'm executive leadership coach. My company is called Gracefully Productive. And this series takes a little bit deeper why I created this, what's our signature program, and and also just really taking a deeper dive into the subject of burnout. This is a little bit different than my refueling station live. Hello, Florida me. Thank you for joining. This is a little bit different than my weekly lives, refueling station live. We're going to delve a little bit deeper into the hows and the whys, and why this particular subject is my passion, and how I'm setting myself apart in terms of executive coaching. As I get deeper into this world of consulting and coaching on this side, I am learning that not a lot of people look like me. And when not a lot of people look like you, they don't necessarily have the background or the empathy for your personal lived experiences. So this is why I created Gracefully Productive. I'm on a mission to empower leaders of color who selflessly serve their communities and champion equity in all spheres. So it could be formally, you could be in diversity, equity, and inclusion, you could be in nonprofit, you could be a pastor or minister serving your community, you could be in a corporate environment, and you know that just because you're the only person that looks that has melanin or is black or brown or a person of color, you know that silently or unconsciously or consciously that you have to um, that you are the person that's going to be put on diversity equity committee, that you are going to be the advocate for equity in all spaces. Thank you all for joining me on Instagram. And so yes, that's thank you, Mr. Nose, Dr. Nose, for joining me on LinkedIn. So that is why I am in focusing on this group. While I do, uh, Gracefully Productive does focus on general executive coaching, team building. Our passion here is to support those leaders of color who are in these spaces that could be toxic in predominantly white spaces, where they are subjected to discrimination and all the things that come with that, whether the microaggressions or very overt discrimination. there we are always doing the work, but we're always on both sides doing the work. And so it's my passion to support those who are doing the direct work. In my years of experience, I've seen, including myself, a lot of people who are leading very important work in education, in various social justice causes that fight really hard for a few years and just flame out. They're brilliant, they have great ideas, and can have a big impact. But what I've witnessed, what I've experienced, we'll talk about today, is all about um, what it looks like in the personal world and why our personal really affects a long-term impact. Systemic change may not happen in our lifetime, but we can surely stay the course and have some sustainable change without damaging ourselves. But in an effort to do well, you want to do good, you want to leave an impact, you don't want to struggle financially, and you want to have a good life, and you want to be well as well. So that's why I termed the coin wise winning well leaders. We can have it all. We just need to define what all is. So thank you all for joining. I see more people are joining. I hope on the path to well-being that you're eating something healthy, you have a glass of water, or you stepped outside. If you could get a little bit of fresh air, some sunshine. We don't have that where I am. So why is this so personal to me? I want to share my journey, and then you can probably see why this subject, this topic is so important right now, and why I was very blessed to be in this work, this topic right now, because I think it's really important. And then type in the comments if you can relate. As I'm telling my story, if you want to raise a hand, um, put out, give me some, show me some love. I'm a teacher by nature, so I love some interaction, right? Um, so let's take it all the way back to 2014. That's where like the pivot, like the most the pivot point of my life. You look back, there's some moments that you know were life changing, right? And so 2014, where was I was early career, just started my first professional job. I did it right in the middle of me finishing my PhD. So 2014, I have 3 degrees by then. I had a house, I had a car. From the looks of it, everything was going well, right? I was at a name brand institution. I had a great uh, a nice title, pretty card, pretty business card. Uh, I was at the same time, I was severely underpaid. I was in higher education, nothing to expect, but I really thought once I got those 3 degrees behind my name, I was going somewhere, right? And so I was constantly faced with job rejection. Um, it just seems like my bills were spiraling ever since I've purchased my house. Everything started going up. And then all of a sudden, I didn't have enough money to match the bills, plus live the life that hey, I got my full-time job, benefits, a house. I should be, you know, living what they told the life they told us we should have when we graduated. But in all reality, I was functionally depressed. I was literally just like going home, probably binging something on Netflix. Probably did not eat dinner. I just remember a lot of times eating chips and salsa, maybe falling asleep on the couch, then going and getting the bed, waking up all over again, had horrible headaches, sat in the bed and like, God, I am grateful for life, but I don't want this one. And so I just remember waking up most mornings with headaches. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to face the day. And at some point, I was prepared to exit without a plan A, B, C, or D. If you understand, if you went through that, going through that right now, let me know in the chat if you could relate to that. I was all outside looked good, but inside was horrible, right? Um, so I buckled up and said, hey, if I can't change the job, I can't change circumstances. The job was inflexible. I just asked for a couple little things so I could be okay in for as long as I could, but it wouldn't budge. Understand that people have their rules and policies is fine, but I needed to do something or else I was going to lose my mind. And so 2015, God blessed me with an opportunity after 100 job rejections in education. I had to figure something out, right? And so I just really stopped. I stopped and I tried to do what can I do in this moment again so I wouldn't lose my mind. So 2015, hey, do you want to come and work for me? I had the offer to come and I moved 9 hours away from my first big girl job. I labeled that the big girl job time, right? So I went from making I'll let you know my business like 35, $38,000 with 3 degrees, right? And years of experience to making 6 figures. Thought this is what I've been waiting on, right? Um, it was the higher education men job. I actually did my due diligence. I talked, made sure it was right for me, make sure I had the right resources. But like all most higher institutions, it was on fire. So we found ourselves working 50, 60 hours easily. And when you factor that into 6 figures, I'm probably back down to 60 maybe. Add another job title after I got there, did more work. So we did great work. I would say we did great work. I built a strong team. That's where I found my leadership voice. I found my confidence. Met great people, expanded my network. It was what I needed. But I was so happy to get out of what I was in that I did not put any barriers around and set any standards for myself in terms of work life balance. So yes, I was there at 8, maybe left at 10, and it was multiple back-to-back days. We worked weekends just trying to do the best because we were also personally invested in our students, but also the mission of the institution. And so looking back, I prayed a lot. I prayed a lot as my faith got stronger, but I also drank a lot. Not like Katrina, post Katrina 2005 a lot. If I had some Southeastern alum, you know what that means. But it was still a lot, right? We had a joke whether we wanted to pick up the bourbon or the Bible. It was tough. Um, After 2.5 years, 3 presidential turnovers, I had 4 bosses that I reported directly to. I just wanted out. I was totally depleted, came home crying. I don't know what to do. This is horrible. I don't want to go back home. And I feel like a failure. But at some point, I was just like, you know what? I'm so happy to return home to Amite, Louisiana in my childhood bedroom to my mom and my daddy. Like I had a house, didn't want to go back to it. I needed out, completely out. If you've ever been at that point of your career, if you know somebody, let me know in the comments. So 2017, I turned soft trial life. So 3 years after that, I just wanted out. I took off all the alarms on my clock. I had no schedule. I took off everything off my calendar. If I felt like doing it, I did it. If I didn't, I didn't. And so I said no to a lot of positions when my pockets were saying yes because I did not want to go back to the same thing. So now I'm cognizant of this is not what I want. This is not good for me or my mental health or my body. I had a chance to do things that fulfilled me. So in this time, I really did a whole lot for my church. I started a nonprofit. I wrote a book, started a podcast. I did a whole lot of stuff that I've been, wanting to do, but didn't have the courage to stop and actually do it, or too busy to actually do it. And so this is my trial self life. I absolutely enjoyed it, wanted a little bit more coin, but I was after experiencing 6 figures, I was just very happy with my bills and the best basic needs taken care of. I did more things than I thought I would be able to do. But then once I set my standards high, I kept saying no. The perfect opportunity came back up for me. So I took the role of a CEO of a nonprofit August 2019. And so brand new for me, but checked off a lot of boxes. It had everything that I wanted, and it aligned. So I was like, okay, this is the chance for me to take it. If it's not what I want, hey, I can always pivot and do something else. But it was a great opportunity. But the pandemic and working at a nonprofit, it took its toll on me as the CEO. And so 2022, I decided that was it for me. I did stayed my contract, ended on my terms. And at that point, I said, okay, I want to do exactly what I want to do, which is why I'm here today. I'm full time in my business. No, this is not the you should quit your job and start a business. You'll be happier. That's not that. I'm never an advocate for that. But it was actually what I wanted to do since before I graduated high school. I've always wanted to own my own business. And so I took that chance and I did it. It was right for me. Um, but I through all of those years, I really thought that I was the only one going through this. So spreading awareness about burnout is personal to me because I've lived it. I've seen it. I've seen so many brilliant colleagues flame out. I've seen how it took a toll on their health. Even if you are caught up on higher ed in different spaces, you realize that there's a couple of Black women presidents who passed away on the job, like literally giving speeches, right? And I was like, oh my God, what if I was headed down that road? It could have happened to me early on. As we go through this series, you'll learn I've been in hospital for high blood pressure just a few years ago, totally healthy, doing what I was supposed to do, but it was just the stress that takes us all out. And so I've been the leader professional who worked tirelessly not only for me to have a good life, but for others to have a good life with a college for through a college degree. I worked 15 years in higher education, which is the number 2 toxic environment in America, only behind K through 12, which is crazy. So I know a lot of you are in education, you're working nonprofits, you might be in corporate where you're the only Black or brown person there. You're the first generation of your family to go to college. It's a different burden. You might come from a low income background and you're making a good life for yourself. That's a little bit of survivor's remorse. So that's another burden. So it's not just the work that burns us out, it's the whole system that we have to acknowledge does have a bearing on how we view life and how we view work. And of course, I've been fighting for equity in white spaces and oddly enough in Black spaces too. So that was a funny thing that happened along my way in my journey. But I've done all of this while being totally exhausted and underpaid and on the brink of self destruction. But I overcame this. Not saying it's perfect. I'm telling you that I don't want to go back to 2014. I don't want to go back to the time where I was very depressed, financially on the brink. Like, I don't want to go back to that time. So that was a pivot point for my life to say, hey, I need to do something. And that what was that something? It sounds so simple, but it's so hard because we're so often so busy and we think it's so simple, it's not going to work, you know? So it's either you're too busy or you think it's too simple. But this is what I did. I literally took a pause. I did some deep reflective work. Was it in a journal? No. It was actually at a restaurant on the back of a napkin at a brunch I probably could not afford. Um, I actually articulated I was unsatisfied with life. And a friend helped me to say, hey, what do you really want? And I said, okay, if I can, I love my family so much. I, want to make more time for them. I'm a church girl and I love doing ministry work. I want to do that without hesitation or barriers or feeling tied to other things. I want to freely do that. And I want to own my own business. I want to become financially sustainable so I could live the life on my terms and not have to work for a living. I don't want to work for a living. I want to be impactful, want to do great things, but I don't want my life to depend on it, which is where the stress comes in and seeps into your personal life. Each time, so for the 2014, the 2017 got better. I set a little bit of boundaries, but every time I knew where I was in this place, I knew I didn't want it to get worse. I figured out what I needed and I exited quickly. And what I see in my colleagues and friends is that we don't exit when we need to. We wait for better. We have a lot of things that conditions we put on getting better. But each day, as we're in these toxic environments that doesn't align with our lives, or we're not prioritizing our health or our life first, we're taking years off our life, even days. And so I created Gracefully Productive so no one would be alone. I didn't have a therapist. I was actually an academic coach, but I didn't even think about reaching out to a coach to help me deal with this because I thought, hey, what are you complaining about? Why would you talk to anybody about this? You got a job, you got a house, you got a car, you got good benefits at a good job, leave it alone. It's fine, right? So I didn't talk to anybody. I was really by myself. It was only through the grace of God that I had the clarity and fortitude to really do the work that I need to do to turn around my situation, and the courage at the time, also while having the fear of it, the courage at the time and actually doing what I wanted to do to create the life that I wanted. Um, and so as I wrap up this live, I really do want to say that I've created a safe space for people of color, leaders of color, professionals of color to really do the deep work, the reflection, and the support and accountability to say, hey, this is not the life that I wanted. I know I have to do something. I know it's affecting my health, my mental health. I know it could be better, but I don't know where to start. Um, I am offering free mini sessions to see how coaching can transform your life. I'm not just telling you this. I've had plenty of coaches, different capacities. I am the very frugal person, the person who doesn't want any help. So it is hard for me to ask for help. But I'm saying that having a person who understands where you are, that can navigate you through any type of life or career change, um, I'm that person. And so if you want, send me a DM. If you would like to schedule a free mini coaching set, just to chat and say, hey, this live said a lot and I related a lot. And just to have a chat about how coaching can help you, reach out. We're still having conversations. The link is in my bio if you're on Instagram. Inbox me if you're on Facebook, LinkedIn. Put a comment. Or email at info@gracefullyproductive.com if you want to schedule a free mini coaching session and really just talk some things through. I've helped a lot of clients in that mini coaching session. I really do have a passion for seeing seeing leaders of color put ourselves first for once. We don't have to, the definition of our leadership has to change. We don't have to be selfless and give and be self-sacrificing all the time. That's not going to work, but it's okay to put yourself first. And if you don't know where to start, I offer you to chat with me. And so tomorrow at noon and at 7, I will talk about how this looks in real life. I will definitely be all in your business again. And we're going to paint the picture of the pain it actually causes us in our real life and overall. So thank you so much for joining me on part 1 of this series of Black, Brown, and Beyond Exhausted. And I hope that you, if you didn't catch it, you catch the middle of it. Go back, subscribe to my YouTube channel. All links are in my bio. I'll place in the comments after this live ends. And thank you so much for joining. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.